Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into, well, one of psychology's most foundational experiments. And frankly, it's a pretty startling one. It really reshaped how we understand our emotions, especially fear, how it's not always innate but can be powerfully learned.
Absolutely. And our main source today, it takes us right back. We're looking at Conditioned Emotional Reactions by John B. Watson and Rosalie Rayner.
Right, the original paper.
Published back in 1920 in the Journal of Experimental Psychology.
1920, wow. So our mission for you today is to explore their actual evidence for conditioning emotions, specifically fear, right? And in an infant.
Exactly. And the subject, the infant at the center of it all, they called him Albert B., just 9 months old.
And Watson and Rayner, they described him as stolid and unemotional. It's a bit stark, isn't it?
It is. And they apparently chose him partly because of that. They felt, and these are their words, they could do him relatively little harm.
So initial tests, what did they show? Was he fearful?
No, not at all initially. They showed him a white rat, a rabbit, a dog, masks, thing like that.
Yeah.
No fear. His typical reaction was just, reaching out, manipulating them. Curiosity, basically.
Okay, so baseline. Not fearful of these objects.
But he did have one clear fear response.
Yeah.
Unconditioned.
Ah, okay. What was that?
When they struck a steel bar, making a loud noise behind his head.
Right.
He showed a strong startle reaction. Crying. The works. That was the first emotional response they saw in the lab setting.
So that loud noise is the key, the unconditioned stimulus.
Precisely. So armed with that, when Albert was about 11 months old, they started the conditioning.
This is where they pair things up.
Yes. They presented the white rat, which he previously didn't fear.
Right.
And just as he reached for it, bang with the steel bar.
Oh, wow. Okay, and how many times did they do that?
This is what's really striking.
Yeah.
After just 7 times pairing the rat and the noise.
7. That's it?
That's it. Albert developed what they called a completely conditioned fear response to the white rat alone.
So now just seeing the rat made him afraid.
Yeah, he'd cry, try to crawl away quickly. A complete change in behavior. It shows how fast these associations can form.
But then it got even more interesting, didn't it? This idea of transfer.
Exactly. That's maybe the most fascinating part. About 5 days later, they tested him again.
And he still feared the rat.
Oh, yes. But not just the rat. He now showed pretty clear fear reactions to other furry things.
Things he hadn't been conditioned with.
Correct. A rabbit, a dog, even a fur coat.
Wow.
And get this, a Santa Claus mask with the white fuzzy beard.
So the fear generalized from the specific white rat to other sort of similar stimuli?
Precisely. It showed learned emotional responses aren't always contained. They can spread.
And did these fears last?
They checked again after 31 days, so a whole month later. The fear responses were still there. Maybe slightly less intense, they noted, but definitely still present for the mask, the coat, the rat, the rabbit, the dog.
A whole month later. That's significant.
It led Watson and Rayner to speculate, that these kinds of conditioned responses could potentially persist and modify personality throughout life. A huge claim for the time.
Yeah, absolutely. But they never got to try and undo it, did they?
Unfortunately, no. Albert was apparently adopted and taken from the hospital before they could attempt any methods for removing the conditioned fears.
That's a real ethical issue looking back, but did they have ideas for how they might have done it?
They did. They mentioned several possibilities. Simple habituation, maybe just showing the rat repeatedly about the noise until the fear faded.
Makes sense.
Or reconditioning. Pairing the rat with something pleasant like food, maybe sweets, or even stimulating what they called erogenous zones, which sounds a bit odd now.
Definitely a product of its time.
And also suggesting constructive activities involving the feared object. It shows they were thinking about countermeasures, even if they couldn't implement them.
Beyond the main conditioning, were there other observations? Incidental findings?
Yes, a couple of interesting ones. They noted Albert often sucked his thumb when the fearful stimuli were presented.
As a comfort thing.
It seemed like it.
Yeah.
They described it as a compensatory device that seemed to block the fear. Like he became impervious while doing it.
Interesting, like a self-soothing mechanism.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the other major point was how they used this study to push back against Freudian ideas, which were dominant then.
Ah, right. How so?
Well, they argued pretty strongly that fear is as primal a factor as love in influencing personality.
Okay.
And that emotional problems in adults weren't just about sex, as Freud might emphasize. They argued many issues could stem from conditioning involving all basic emotions, fear, rage, and love.
So a direct challenge based on their experimental findings.
A very direct challenge.
So this early study, clearly controversial, hugely influential, it really did change our view of learning and emotion.
It absolutely did. And it leaves us with a thought, perhaps for you listening. Watson and Rayner concluded that many of the phobias in psychopathology are true conditioned emotional reactions.
Right. Learned fears.
Learned fears.
Okay.
So, considering that, how might it change the way you think about where some of our own deepest, most ingrained fears might actually come from?